Dennis Yu, marketing mechanic, and I'm going to sketch what the whole framework is on what we're teaching so that you can understand what episode is best for you and how they all fit together. I've spent $1 billion on Google and Facebook ads, and we're helping local service businesses be able to scale, to win in Google, win in ads, win in ChatGPT. And as a former search engine engineer, I'm showing you the framework on how all this fits together. The first 7 episodes, you're going to see why this is important for you to watch, ideally in order. Here we go. So the first thing is there is the concept of the entity, which we teach in chapter 1. What is an entity? It's a person, place, thing, company. You need to show up in the big database, right? And so this entity, if it has information against it and how it's connected, if you're a local service business, we're going to connect it with everyone else in your vertical, which is called a GeoVertical Grid. So let's say you're an HVAC company. If we connect you with everyone else who is well known in HVAC, could be industry conferences, suppliers, software that you're using, and then your city, let's say you're in Philadelphia, then we're connecting with other entities in Philadelphia. So we're showing that signal to Google, ChatGPT, social, you're posting on Instagram, hey, our team's over here in this suburb of Philadelphia, we're fixing a toilet here. And we're also showing, I guess, HVAC, right? Then we're fixing an air conditioning unit that blew out, right? A replacement deal. That's episode 2, is the GeoVertical Grid. Because from the entity to establish your business, we have to connect it to show that it should rank in Google because of who you associate with. And that's the core of SEO that people don't seem to understand. That's why you can't buy links, all that kind of stuff. Now, with episode 3, we're talking about how content fits. So when you've established this framework of your entity associated with your city and what you do, then you've got to have lots of content with other sorts of businesses. In episode 3, we talk about how this content can be repurposed in different ways so that it all points back to your entity. And it's also made stronger because we're repurposing it to live on Facebook, to YouTube, and articles, bringing these things together, showing who you are, showing tons of strength. And so a content strategy is not because you're just posting on social, but because everything points back into this thing we call the topic wheel. So the things that you care about, your stories, your technicians, how you hire, your 12-month guarantee warranty, the story behind your company's brand, all that kind of stuff to show that you're real and human, EEAT, right, which is what Google cares about, real experience, not just AI-generated stuff. And then that moves into episode 4, which is how we optimize. Optimization is based on MAA, which is what we call metrics, analysis, and action. So you have these different pieces of content, and maybe one does better for whatever reason. Like we have a particular Facebook ad on, hey guys, you can get a free roof if you qualify in certain zip codes, whatever. Or maybe we have a certain story over here where, you have 10 different videos of technicians that are doing things, or you have other relationships, you hung out with Tommy Mello and you're playing golf or whatever it is, you never know. So 1 out of 10 pieces of content we typically find as a winner. So when you optimize, you're able to put your effort on where you're getting the most ROI instead of, I'm going to just mindlessly publish 5 pieces of content every week. Or the social media person says, I need to be on Instagram, I need to be on YouTube, I need to be... No, you're not a content publisher, you're not a magazine, you're not a newspaper where there has to be a story every day. You are a local service business and you're trying to grow based on whichever items you need to. If it's a winner, you're going to make more content just like that. So that's how you expand any existing piece of content. You find a winner, do more of that, run more ads against it, repurpose it in more different ways, try to find these winners that are working, and then you're playing what used to be called the 80-20 rule is really the 95-5 rule, where that 5% of your content is driving 90% of the value, because then we turn it into ads, we enhance other existing assets, showing the proof of what key customers are saying, around how you've enhanced your service, around how you're servicing new areas, and all the kinds of stories about who you are. So you're not just producing content, you're driving it to ROI, you're tying everything back to the field service management system, to your CRM, so that your marketing efforts are tying to the ROI, not just I'm putting out content, I'm just ranking on keywords, I have more followers. So what? It has to show up inside QuickBooks or that system. That's episode 5. Now, episode 4. This is episode 4. Now, episode 5 is your personal brand. So what is it that makes a great personal brand? It's not because you're famous. It's not because you drive a Lamborghini. It's because you are connected to this entity. And there's certain things that we want to do to tell the founder story. And we know that people buy from other people. So if you're Anthony of Anthony's Lawn Care, we talk about how do you show that you're involved in the community, that you actually care, that you attract the right technicians to work for you, right? Because scaling your business is a combination of having your marketing grow and scaling up your team, and then more marketing, and then more team members. You don't want it out of balance, but you grow, like Anthony, from $1 million to a $5 million company, you've got to have stronger systems and processes, better team members, management, speed the lead answering the phone, you start to grow your internal capabilities, more team, like all of this stuff, it has to grow together. And that's why increasingly, if you're like a Tommy Mello, your personal brand is so key, because you have a brand, your trucks are everywhere, they see your face, they know your logo, you're starting to do direct mail, you're doing yard signs, you're buying postcards from David Carroll, all of these things to amplify your personal brand, not because you're wealthy or you have a ton of followers, but because you've become a local celebrity. And that is episode 5 on your personal brand. Episode 6 is how do we make the ideal home service website? In other words, when we connect the personal brand and all the different stories, your personal brand as a person, we're connecting to these other stories, to these other people, to other industry people you met at Tommy Mello's conference, or your customer's service titan, or you're supporting the Little League. All of these stories have to tie together into the structure of your location service pages, of your company about, of things on the company homepage versus the homepage of your personal brand site. And this is something that SEO people look at it a certain way, social media people look at it another way, all these AI experts look at it another way, but I look at it from the standpoint of the underlying data architecture. So if you do it right, you're actually winning in Google, winning in ads, winning in social media, winning in ChatGPT, when you understand fundamentally how all these different pieces come together. Now that there's an ecosystem that's tied to your actual trust and reputation, which is the whole point behind Local Service Spotlight as a platform and High Rise Influence as a training system, you need to tie it all together. And so we talk about how agencies are helping these local service businesses who are owning it in-house, but agencies are executing. And then we have a platform here. And this is what Local Service Spotlight is. Agencies in training and certification, that's what High Rise Influence is. So when you have a platform that's powering the technology to do a lot of this, then you, as the home service business, you're capturing stories on your cell phone. You're incentivizing your crew to be able to get more reviews, so it shows up inside Service Titan or Jobber or wherever the work is being done and being scheduled. So if you have that raw content, the ecosystem, the platform and tools, the ChatGPT prompts, and all the stuff we develop will actually do agency-like work. And then these agencies are getting certified. Just like the plumbers are getting certified as apprentices, just like the HVAC technicians, just like real estate agents have to be certified. The digital marketers are certified. Why? Because then they can use these tools on your behalf. So the agencies are working with you to use these tools. You are using these tools. We have a platform that will actually take the content you have and do this distribution. Build out your location service pages, do the video editing, build out your personal brand website. If you have the trust, if you have the content, if you have the reviews, if you're making these videos on your phone and whatnot, then the system will take that and automatically fix these things across social media, search, all that, rank in ChatGPT. Meanwhile, the agencies are there to be able to coach, to consult, to train, to do the things that AI can't do, and in fact, to supervise the AI. So we're building all these tools and agents for you guys to use, because I'm a search engine engineer. I like to build tools, but we understand that you are an owner. We understand that you have to manage all these different tools. You can have your young adult learn how to use our tools and be the agency because you trust them because they work for you. They're an agency of one. Or you can hire an agency if you're small or you don't have someone to put through the program. You can hire an agency that is able to do things the right way. And that's what we teach. Everything that we've taught in these episodes build sequentially, so you understand that if you go to a mechanic and you want your car fixed, it's not abracadabra, right? It's not praying. You can be a good Christian, but you don't pray that the mechanic will just, oh, please, Jesus, fix my transmission. No, there's a way to do that. There's a way to diagnose that. There's a step-by-step procedure to figure out what's wrong, and then metrics, analysis, action, right? You diagnose what's going on. There's a treatment plan, right? In a hospital. I know I'm mixing analogies. But I want you to see that no matter how AI changes, no matter what's going on in the world of social media or all this, oh, look, there's a squirrel over there, right? You'll see there's a framework for you to own your own marketing. And that's what this whole marketing mechanic episode YouTube thing is. Every week, Thursday at 11 Eastern, we launch a new topic that builds upon what we've learned. But my hope is by looking at these first 7 foundational topics, this will be a crash course in digital marketing, social, and AI. If you are confused by all this terminology, by all the latest stuff these other people are saying, and you want to learn something fundamental that'll still be valid in 10 years from now, this is where you need to start. If you have any thoughts, I'd love to know. I see that 80% of you guys are watching these videos and aren't subscribing. So go ahead, hit the subscribe button, comment and share. Let me know, what do you guys want to hear about? I'm Dennis Yu, your marketing mechanic, at your service.